Ah, Smart Water, now in a sleek can.
This feels cool, literally.
Perfect for social gatherings and on the go.
Should I start wearing turtlenecks?
One sip at a time, friend. Smart Water cans, for those with a taste for taste. Get yours today.
This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit TemptationsTreats.com to learn more.
Just before 6 a.m., when Roger Stone, longtime Trump associate and advisor, was taken into custody by the FBI, there's a moment of audio on here that I want to play for everyone, because this is what the first sounds that Roger Stone woke up to this morning was the FBI pounding on his door and shouting this. I want to just play this for a moment.
FBI, open the door!
Open up. It's the FBI.
Just before 6 a.m.
The Federal Bureau of Incompetence, the Friends of Biden Incorporated. Stone, we know you're in there. There's no getting away. We got boats in the back. We got helicopters up top. We got a tank in the front yard. Come the hell out. Put on one of those silk suits and get the hell out of the house. We know you're in there. And we're very suspicious of that paperwork you filed. Or whatever the hell it is it says you did in this warrant. Nonviolent first offender. We got the FBI SWAT team here. Has this ever been entered into evidence? That's great evidence right there of corruption of the FBI. Hi, it's not Roger Stone. Roger Stone is on the mend. All right. He's a little bit under the weather. This is Greg Kelly, honored to take the show over for 2 hours so Roger can get better. And we'll talk about Roger for a bit, because I am privileged to know the guy, and he is an unbelievable patriot. And what the hell he's been through, I'll get to that in a moment. You know, he's got great political antennae. Everybody, I was for Trump. I was for Trump. I've known Trump for 20 years. I've known Trump for 10 years. I've known Trump. Chris Christie boasts, I've known Trump for 20 years. Well, 20 years is 2005. Donald Trump and Paul Stone knew each other in like 1979. And did I say Paul Stone? That's the gold guy. Oh, my God. That's the gold guy who I also like. How many times have I said Paul? Just once. Okay, good. Phew. You know who I'm talking about. Roger Stone. Best dressed man in politics. He's also a little bit mischievous. He's also a born-again Christian. He's an expert. And he's a great strategist and tactician. And great guy. And a Nixon enthusiast like me. Total Nixon enthusiast. Right down to that big tattoo, you know, on the back. That's pretty hardcore. And before we move on, again, Roger, one of the most compelling theories about whatever the hell happened to Kennedy. I feel like we've all been shortchanged with these document dumps. And I don't think the CIA kept the documents, right? Do you? Do you think they would keep the documents accessible to anybody? They've all been destroyed, all the good stuff. And some of the stuff was probably never put in document form. But I want to hear Roger talk about this, if you don't mind. And then I'll tell you all the things I have in common with Roger. Maybe we'll get to that later. I mean, importantly, we have a country to save. And Donald Trump has certainly done his part, and he's doing his part. But over the weekend, I realized that the left, I was getting a little bit tired of the media, of us picking on the media. I can't stand the media. I hate them. But picking on them is almost too easy. And I see them over there at Fox News. They'll, like, Jesse Waters, is that his name, will lead his show with something that CNN did. And I always thought that was kind of lazy. But now I'm seeing, I just had kind of an epiphany. They're just not it's not that they're just biased. They really are out to destroy our country and get at our children and corrupt them. I've known that, but now I really extra know it. I don't know how to, but do me a favor. This is Roger Stone with John F. Kennedy and the amphetamines, all right, the drug situation. Have you ever heard this before? Go ahead.
In my research is that there was, in fact, a domestic conspiracy, I hate that word, to murder John F. Kennedy, and that there were many institutions and individuals involved, all of whom had a different motive. I've just told you the motive of the Central Intelligence Agency, who thought that Kennedy was soft on the Russians. They wanted to use Cuba to spark a war with the Russians. The Secret Service, the FBI, and the Central Intelligence Agency also became aware that President John F. Kennedy had become addicted to methamphetamine. He was being treated by a doctor named Dr. Max Jacobson in New York, who was treating all the beautiful people of the day: Aristotle Onassis, Frank Sinatra, Maria Calais, the opera singer, New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller, Pablo Picasso, Leonard Bernstein, the famous conductor, telling them all that what he was giving them was a proprietary blend of vitamins and enzymes. And Kennedy was seeing Jacobson because of the horrific pain in his back. John Kennedy was an absolute World War II hero whose PT boat had been cut in half and who had swum for hours dragging a wounded colleague by a rope in his teeth and had badly injured his back in that incident. So they knew that Kennedy was taking these treatments, and of course they used it to rationalize his murder. My God, the man's a drug addict. He could give away the store to Nikita Khrushchev. If you look at the manifest, the official document that tells you who was on the plane to Vienna for the summit with Nikita Khrushchev, you will find the name of Dr. Max Jacobson.
Dr. Max Jacobson. One other guy he saw was Richard Nixon. His building is still up, 69th Street and Park Avenue. How about that? What a theory. And it makes a lot of sense that they had to provide themselves with a moral and maybe even a legal justification, just like they did with President Trump, right? When they said he's a threat to democracy, when they said he is what did Dick Cheney say? There's been no man who's posed a greater threat to our Constitution than Donald Trump. Now, no man ever in the history of the Republic has posed a greater threat to our Constitution than Donald Trump. Are you crazy? He's the savior of the Constitution. But if you look at it that way, well, then you have a duty, actually, to get the guy killed. A duty. And I think that's what happened. And we need to know this thing has just been pretty much forgotten. I mean, they gosh darn almost killed the man about 9 months ago. And that's okay. The other thing, the January 6th stuff, we need to blow that wide open. I'm tired of like pussyfooting around, and even Republicans, conservatives, they still get squeamish and sheepish about January 6th. You've got nothing to be afraid of or embarrassed about. All right. They fired chemical munitions into a peaceably assembled crowd in violation of the Constitution. Hey, it's Easter, and I know Easter is a wonderful day. Sometimes it can feel very, very removed from you, right? It can. First of all, the pageantry, right? And the big mass over there in Rome and the trumpets and the 10,000 altar boys and all that stuff. It just, and then of course there's the Easter bunny and the rest. My kids, I mean, I don't know if I really like this Easter bunny nonsense. All they did was push each other, all the kids were just pushing each other, trying to get those eggs with the candy inside. It was like a crash course in greed. I just don't understand the applicability of the Easter bunny. I generally know it's like, though, it's helpful once a year. Oh, you got to go to bed, so the Easter bunny, can come back. And then they want to stay out to see the Easter bunny. But, all of it can seem very, very far removed. And, what I've come to learn is that God and Jesus, they, as grand as they can seem, and they are, of course, right? The creators of the universe. But they also know about every little nook and cranny in your little life, because he knew every nook and cranny in my life, and I have proof. I have absolute proof. The hand of God was at work, even when I didn't believe it, even when I was just being stupid and selfish. And I can look back and I see, wow, it's true. Long story, a little bit shorter. Started reading the Bible in 2016. Somebody had given me a Bible as a gift in 2012. I said, what made you such a church lady? What kind of gift is this? Get me a watch, get me a shirt, get me cologne. You're giving me a Bible? I mean, come on. You know, I had this in Sunday school, you know. All right, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me with this? Huh? Put it up on the shelf. And maybe I didn't even put it on the shelf. I think I put it in a box. And a couple of years go by, feeling a little down in the dumps. I was getting up in the morning to meditate. I thought meditation was going to set me free. Meditation. Transcendental meditation. I took a couple of lessons in transcendental meditation because Jerry Seinfeld had done it, because who else did it? I think Tony Robbins does it. You know, some of those, you know, high-achieving people were doing this transcendental meditation. And I kind of liked it myself. I would get up and meditate. And I'm not supposed to give when you take the transcendental meditation course, they make you sign a piece of paper saying you won't teach it to anybody else because they want to charge money. So I'm tempted to just teach everybody, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to get problems. But you can learn it really quick. It's not complicated. And I did find it somewhat helpful. But I would go to sleep. It's not about God. It's not about religion. It's very irreligious. And I'd get up in the morning and I'd do it, but I kept falling asleep. Then I rationalized, well, I like getting up in the morning. There's something about getting up in the morning and doing something proactively. I keep falling asleep, and the meditation's not really getting me anywhere. What if I read the Bible? I don't know enough about this book, so I start reading it. And it wasn't like I read the page and, my life has changed and I recognized everything. But I'd read it and then go about my day, and then something would happen during the day that was directly related to what I read that morning, or maybe it was the next day, but all of a sudden things and connections started to happen. And I'm getting like really, really deeply moved and impressed, and I'm starting to figure out, well, maybe this is all true after all, because I had my doubts. And then there were like laugh out loud funny moments, just absolutely laugh out loud, like this could not be clearer. God is in control and he knows what he's doing. So it was in the summer, a couple of years later, summer of 2018, I had a big project underway, and I had gotten some bad news, and it looked like the entire project, of which I had significant financial investment and career, my career was kind of on the line, and I was, what's going to happen? I just got news that said it's all off. It's not going to happen. And I'm like, what's going to happen to me? And I got the news. I was in Central Park on the phone, and I had to make a bunch of phone calls, and it was bad news. So I'm walking with my head down, and I go into a neighborhood I don't normally go into, the Upper West Side. And I'm just depressed and a little bit scared. And I remember thinking to myself, what am I going to do? What's going to happen to me? How am I going to get through this? I mean, who the hell am I? I can't get through this. There's nothing special. No one's going to save me in this one. I mean, who the hell am I? I'm just Greg. I can't handle this. And my head was down. I remember I was on the verge of tears. And I just looked up for no reason, and the very first thing I saw was a sign that said Gregory the Great. And it was St. Gregory's School in the West 90s. And it was so laugh out loud funny, because that is the grammar school my father attended when he was a boy. He went from first grade to I think 6th or 7th grade there, maybe 8th grade. And I was named for that school. That was the school.
My dad liked the name so much. He just thought it was a great name, and he wanted to name his son that someday. So, and it said Gregory the Great. And it was a message from God, quite frankly. I know it was, that I was going to be okay. That was one hell of a low moment. And then it was just, and then about 17 more things happened just like that, and even better, when so I am a total and complete believer. Doesn't mean I am perfect. I still screw up all the time. But the trumpets are great. The church services are great. But he wants us to, I believe, he, capital H, God, Jesus, wants us to live our life and bring Christianity into every scenario, every single one, wherever we go. Be his ambassador or whatever. Just do his will. And it's a glorious, glorious experience and feeling and duty. I am so honored. Be right back.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
I am so excited for this spa day. Candles lit, music on, hot tub warm and ready. And then my chronic hives come back. Again, in the middle of my spa day. What a wet blanket. Looks like another spell of itchy red skin. If you have chronic spontaneous urticaria or CSU, there is a different treatment option. Hives during my next spa day? Not if I can help it. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Actually, I don't think that's an exaggeration. Like all of those men did rely. That's the one guy I think they all have in common. Roger Stone. Hey, a real brief on the rest of that stuff. Yeah. A lot of miracles started happening, and it was like, oh boy, I can not deny it any longer. It is true. It's all real. The Bible is true. And now, then again, here I am 5 days a week on talk radio, bad-mouthing all kinds of people, especially Cuomo. And how do I rationalize that? How do I justify that as a Christian? Well, I don't have to. I love everybody. I do. Everybody is created. God created every single living creature, and there's a plan and there's a purpose. And I love them. And I don't know. Maybe the plan for Cuomo was, for me to stop him. Okay. I love the guy, but I don't have to like him. All right. I love everybody, but I don't have to like everybody. Does that make sense? I want him to be, whatever. I think it works. It makes sense to me, and I think it makes sense to God, too. All right, your calls. We got to do the Chris Van Hollen stuff. He has disgraced himself, and he has a new boyfriend. Greg Kelly filling in for Roger Stone. A great, great man. Hey, Roger was fantastic in getting all this stuff about Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, but for some reason she lives in Virginia. Have you seen these documents? It's great stuff. It's dynamite stuff. Roger working with Sam Antar. You remember the Antar family and Crazy Eddie? Yeah, same family. I see he's getting into a little bit of a spat with Laura Loomer. I like Laura Loomer a lot. She's very, very talented. However, she spends too much time trying to claim credit. All right. Sometimes sometimes it's true. People use her stuff and they don't credit her, and that's a shame. That shouldn't happen. But, these things happen all the time. Happens to the New York Times. I can't stand the New York Times, but they do tend to break news. 5 minutes after they break the news, nobody cares where it came from. It's just part of the news. You don't see their reporters bothering everybody for 10 hours. Hey, that came from the New York Times. You got to cite us. You got to cite us. And Laura does way too much of that. And on this story, I don't know. It looks like they got this story on their own. Maybe, I don't know. Did Laura get it and then give it to the Trump people? Did she publicize it? I don't know. And, but look, I like both of them, but I do think Laura needs to lighten up a little bit when it comes to, hey, you didn't credit me. Hey, I did that. So, all right. You got to be able to say this to your friends. I consider Laura a friend. She was dynamite. She went to the White House and told President Trump about all these people of highly questionable loyalty on the national security staff. And Trump was like, yeah, she's right. Trump appreciates her, but also knows she's a little bit, she can be like an unguided missile. All right, Laura Loomer. So I like her, but sometimes, hey, same goes for me. I love me, but sometimes I need an attitude adjustment. So I finally know what this guy's name is. No, I don't actually. Is it Khalil Abrego Garcia, the MS-13 guy? All right. I mean, 10 million of them came into the country during the Biden years. There's one who went out. One who went out under questionable circumstances, I guess. But one thing that's not in question, two courts have said the guy is a gang member. It's not in question that the police took a report from his wife that he slapped her around. Also, it's not in question that he was here illegally. And it's also not in question that he was already ordered deported. So what's the big deal? I don't see a big deal. All right. He's back in El Salvador. Let him stay there. But Democrats, they always, it really is corrupt. It really is kind of perverted what they rally around, right? Drag queens, trans people, trans people and their rights to be in girls' sports. Just the most, we can't have a border, insane stuff. And that curriculum with the kids, and I don't get it. I don't know what they're all about other than possibly destroying the country. And, I mentioned this before, their bias seeks to do something worse than favor left-leaning candidates. They want to normalize behavior. They keep moving the bar of normalcy further and further, like just way left, so that there's like the whole of society is going off a cliff. When you have a situation where drag time story hour takes place in public schools in New York City, which it does, and complaining about that has now a hate crime. Pick up the phone, call the school board, tell them you don't like the drag time story hour with kids, and you don't think trans should be in girls' sports. You could find yourself accused of a hate crime by members of Congress, by the school superintendent. And yeah, a lot of you people thought, Eric Adams, he seems very normal. Why? Because he looked good in a suit and he pretended that he liked cops? It's just, all right. So Van Halen, senator from Maryland, goes to El Salvador to check on Khalil Abrego Garcia, MS-13 gang member. Have you seen the pictures of these guys together? First of all, it looks like they're on a date, and Chris Van Hollen really wants it to work out. He really is into this chick. And the MS-13 guy could take it or leave it. It's really not into you, Chris. I'm sorry, he's just not that into you. But he went all the way down there, and they had drinks, and they looked into each other's eyes. But more Chris, I could tell, what's his name? He looked like the boss. The MS-13 guy looked like the boss of a United States senator. The body language is amazing. The El Salvadoran president was making fun of Chris. And now you're going to make fun out of Chris after you hear this interview. What was he on? He was on the Sunday show. He was on all the Sunday shows. This is the one. This is the This Week with George Stephanopoulos show that George Stephanopoulos only hosts about 8% of the time. A guy named John Carl, talk about pussyfoot, right? He's like, he makes apologies every time he wants to ask a little question that might have some edge. I'm sorry to say this, but I know that you already know this, but isn't it true that possibly one could consider, like, stuff like that? Cut 5, please. Cut 5.
It wasn't a trap. My goal was to meet with him. Yeah. And make sure I could tell his wife and family he was okay. That was my goal. And I achieved that goal. You're absolutely right that the Salvadoran authorities tried to deceive people. They tried to make it look like he was in paradise. They actually wanted to have the meeting by the hotel pool originally. Really? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wait, stop. Why is he so shocked by that? Really? 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 Yeah. I mean, you're a United States senator. Why the hell are they telling you what to do anyway? You know? Well, you're being used, I guess. You stay home in Maryland. You just don't know what you're doing. You shouldn't be running around down there. All right, trying to find out about an MS-13 and bringing him back to America. Keep going.
Negotiate that. They wanted to put me right overlooking the pool. In fact, if you had a different angle on the camera shot, you would see the pool.
Because they did write, Bukele put out a statement saying, miraculously risen from the death camps and torture and sipping margaritas with you. Yeah. I mean, they were really trying to make you look like you were hanging out with somebody that they say is a gang member.
Look, this is a person who the United States courts have determined was illegally taken from the United States. And my whole purpose here is to make sure that we observe the rule of law, the Constitution, and due process rights. Bukele, yes, he tried to make it look like somehow this was Abrego Garcia was enjoying himself. All of that was a setup, right? He had the waiters there. People ordered the waiters to bring these things that look like margaritas. Yeah. It just goes to show the lengths that Bukele and Trump will go to try to deceive people about what this case is all about. What this case is all about is simply complying with the Supreme Court order to facilitate his return and make sure he gets due process.
So what did Abrego Garcia tell you?
He told me about the trauma he had been experiencing, both in terms of the abduction and the fact that he was originally sent to CCOT, which is this notorious prison.
Yeah, we've seen the image.
He told me how much he missed his wife and his kids. He specifically mentioned his 5-year-old boy who has autism because that boy had been in the car with him when U.S. agents had stopped them and handcuffed him and then taken him away. So he described all that, and he told me that he had moved recently to a new prison facility. So those are some of the highlights.
I want you to listen to something that Gavin Newsom had to say about all the attention this case has gotten.
This is the distraction of the day, the art of distraction. This is the debate they want. This is their 80-20 issue as they've described it.
Is he right about the politics of this? I mean, the Republicans have taken great joy in portraying you as somebody who is defending somebody who's in this country illegally, they say is a gang member, and, you know, and they say that they're trying to just enforce the laws.
John, I don't think it's ever wrong to protect the Constitution and protect due process rights. I think conservative and libertarians...
Stop for a second. What about the due process rights of all of us not to be invaded by a foreign country? It says right in the Constitution. It's one of the duties of the president. It's under Article 2 to defend this country from force of invasion. It's when you raise your right hand and you take that oath, and President Biden refused to fulfill that oath, that promise, that obligation right there in the Constitution, and nobody on the left gave a damn. Nobody did. They were just fine with it. What about the due process for everybody else? This guy, due process. How many times has he been through the process? There is a legal deportation order still in effect from before President Trump became president, for crying out loud. This term, at least. You know what Tom Homan has to say about this? That's pretty good. Tom Homan, the border czar. This guy does not screw around. 212-848-9222, by the way. 212-848-9222. Wait a second. Shoot. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. We're on live, by the way. Happy 3:44 p.m. Easter Sunday. Cut one.
Senator Van Hollen has obviously got a chance to meet with him, but he had to travel to El Salvador to get any information. Does that concern you at all?
Stop. Oh, you had to go all the way to El Salvador to get any information. Well, the guy is an El Salvadoran. He's an El Salvadoran citizen. It makes total sense that if you want to go to El Salvador to meet the El Salvadorian, go ahead. All right, but, Tom Homan just, he's a kind of a just the facts kind of, guy, and Totally gets it. Keep going.
People sent by the in his case, sent by the United States, and not even a U.S. senator could get any information about his whereabouts or the condition of his incarceration without actually going down and making the trip to El Salvador himself?
Well, he obviously knew his whereabouts because he went there to see him. But what bothers me more than that is a U.S. senator traveled to El Salvador on taxpayer dime to meet with an MS-13 gang member, public safety threat, terrorist. In the meantime, the day before he traveled, an illegal alien was arrested for murder, released to the streets rather than honoring an ICE detainer in his very own state. What concerns me is Van Halen never went to the border the last 4 years on Joe Biden when he had a 600% increase in sex trafficking in women and children. You have a record number of no-inspected terrorists crossing that border. You had 250,000 Americans die from fentanyl overdose because of the open border. You had over 4,000 illegal aliens died making that journey, which is an historic record. What shocks me is he's remained silent on the travesty that happened on our southern border. Many people died. Thousands of people died. I've met with hundreds of angel moms and dads who buried their children that were murdered by an illegal alien. How many angel moms and dads has he met in the state of Maryland? That's what concerns me.
That's what concerns me. And that's what should concern all Americans. Instead, this guy is scheming, I think, for a date. He wants a date with this guy. There's some sort of homoerotic undertones between Chris Van Hollen and the terrorist down there. Let's see here. You can even hear it in his voice. He gets very, I don't know. There's something kind of weak. Something like his heart's all aflutter. Here, listen to this. This is when they ask him, hey, how did you get to Maryland, by the way? I mean, how did you get to El Salvador from Maryland? That's a pretty long way to go. Listen close to his voice, how it quivers.
Who did pay for this trip?
This was an officially cleared, congressional trip, cleared on a bipartisan basis. Yes, like every other trip.
One more time. Did you hear that?
Who did pay for this trip?
This was an officially cleared, congressional trip, cleared on a bipartisan basis. Yes, like every other trip.
Nervous. Very nervous. He has feelings for this guy. He has feelings for him. And we have to respect that, I guess. Maybe these guys, hey, they were in a hotel. What else happened down there? Hello, Patricia. Line 2, if you don't mind. Press that button.
I was very concerned. I saw something on my phone, Greg, about Frank Morano being threatened as a Nazi. This is so outrageous.
What do you mean they threatened him? What do you mean they threatened him?
Not say, I don't know. Somebody wrote things on, he has political signs, and they wrote he's a Nazi. And Frank Morano, it's hysterical.
I know. Somebody wrote something on his political sign. What do you want? You put those signs out, people are going to write stuff on him. I think it's terrible. He's a great guy. I hope he wins. But people will deface your signs. Is this true? Did you hear about this? No, I didn't hear about it. Nobody around here heard about it. But that's what happens when you put signs, quite frankly, that half the people don't want to see, right?
Thank you, Greg.
All right, Patricia. I'm sorry. I can't just go, bananas on this one. Let's see here. Joseph, hello.
Greg, happy Resurrection Day. It's on the White House website. COVID-19 expose. It's invented in a communist China lab. But here in New York, that bum Democrat Cuomo, he closed down the Christian churches, and also Democrat Alfred Sharpton, he said, leave the bodegas open. That's all disgusting. What happened?
It actually really is disgusting. And you remind me, I want to go back and grab that. He is a disgusting, foul man. And I read in the paper today he's still doing well in the polls. I don't believe it. They're trying to discourage voter turnout. Cuomo's got it locked up. No, he doesn't, because he's a disgusting fool and power hungry and in it for the glory. Well, we're going to stop him. We're going to stop that bastard. Thank you very much. Yes, D, what is it?
Yeah, I hear you talking about the invasion of the United States by these immigrants.
Yes, it stopped recently. It stopped under President Trump, but yes, there was an invasion happening. All right, he asked his question. He was going to say something nasty, but he lost his nerve. Oh, damn it. I love it when somebody says, oh, there you are. What?
Invasion?
What?
Outside of Trump's rhetoric, where was it declared an invasion?
You don't declare an invasion. We know one when we see one. You know it when you see it. Did you see it?
So
then you don't declare an invasion. Actually, when we went to Iraq, we didn't declare it an invasion. We just invaded. All right. Now, do you think America wasn't invaded?
No, I don't think we were invaded. I think we were overran by
overran, invaded. So if you want to, semantics, whatever. It does, we have a duty to protect the physical integrity of America. Do you buy that? Do you buy that?
Speak about our geopolitical influences in those countries.
I'll let you talk about geopolitical, whatever, till you're blue in the face, all right? Go watch Fareed Zakaria. That's where you go for your geopolitical influences. I'll be right back. Hey, wait a second. Did Roger Stone help George W. Bush? I got to talk to Roger about that. What the hell is he helping that W out? Oh, man. Anyway, no, look, I understand. No, I don't understand. I never liked George W. Bush. And I wonder what Roger has to say about him now. I got to talk to Roger about that. Roger and I, we became good friends. He admires the way I dress. I admire the way he dresses. I appreciate his mind. I think he appreciates mine. And he also, I'm one of the more, I think, knowledgeable people around when it comes to Richard Nixon. There are some serious scholars out there who know a lot more than I do. But as far as run-of-the-mill, the people you meet every day, I am off the charts with Richard Nixon knowledge. And that man learned politics from Richard Nixon himself. And he's just a walking, living legend. It's pretty amazing. It really, truly is. Roger Stone, everybody. He's on the mend. He'll be getting better very soon. This is very amusing. Byron Donaldson, I should say. Byron Donalds. Who wrote Byron Donaldson? I remember once I heard somebody say Prague, Czechoslovakia. And at that point on, I always say Prague first. It's Prague! Byron Donaldson. Byron Donalds went to a Tesla dealership where all the people were mad at Trump. Oh, it's funny. We'll have it when we come back. This is Greg Kelly in for Roger Stone. I got to get a little montage of that. President Trump has said some nice things about me over the years. There's Greg. He's great. We love Greg. Who doesn't love Greg Kelly? He's over there and he does those great things. And Greg, you get it. You totally get it. I got to see him, 3 weeks ago? Hey, a little clue, a little tip. People wonder where he gets his energy. I was with him for an hour. It's kind of a long time. And half of that was an interview, and the other half, we were in the Oval Office talking. And one thing I noticed, I know where he's not losing any energy, okay? In an hour, I never saw him look at a screen, a cell phone, an iPad, a computer, nothing. Okay. Papers, yes. At one point, actually, I handed him my phone because, somebody had called and, I thought he'd like to talk to him. So he was on the phone for a couple of moments, but, it's a very energy depleting activity. Scrolling, looking at that stuff, texting, your energy. And he's not, that's one way I know he's not losing any energy. It is Easter. And speaking of President Trump, we got a tweet from him like only he can tweet. They just put this up on Fox News. You can't put the entire tweet up. It looks like it's Dostoevsky. It's like, small, it goes on. It doesn't work on television when you put the whole print up and you have the anchor read it. But on the radio, it's a little bit better. It's a lot better, actually. From Donald Trump. Happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting and scheming so hard to bring murderers, drug lords, and dangerous prisoners, the mentally insane and well-known MS-13 gang members and wife beaters back into our country. We can't have that. Happy Easter also to the weak and ineffective judges and law enforcement officials who are allowing this sinister attack on our nation to continue, an act so violent that it will never be forgotten. Sleepy Joe Biden purposely allowed millions of criminals to enter our country, totally unvetted and unchecked, through open borders that will go down in history as the single most calamitous act ever perpetrated upon America. Biden was by far our worst, most incompetent president. This is a happy Easter message, by the way, and I love it. A man who had absolutely no idea what he was doing, but to him and to the person that ran and manipulated the auto pen, perhaps our real president, and to all the people who cheated in the 2020 presidential election in order to get this highly destructive moron elected, I wish you, with great love, sincerity, and affection, a very happy Easter. Wow. That's a hell of a message. And I'm glad he sent it. I'm glad. It's kind of like what I was talking about. I don't like my enemies, but I love them. I love these people. It gives us, if it were easy, God could fix all this stuff. He doesn't want it to be easy. It's supposed to be hard. He wants to get things done through work. We have to work. It kind of reminds me also of the 2020 election. You know what I say? I can't prove who won the election. Nobody really can when you think about it. How do you prove that? But I know this. President Trump believes he won. And only he knows what it's like to feel when he won that election, but he actually lost it, right? Only he knows what it's like to have that election stolen from him, if it was in fact stolen. Again, I can't prove that, but he knows. It reminds me one day, long ago, earlier in my television years, I had poured my heart into a script. I had to write something for the 3:00 show. I wanted to be on air later. I wanted to be on air at 7 and 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, but back then they'd only let me be on air at 3 o'clock. I said, screw it. They'll only let me be on air at 3 o'clock. I'll be on air at 3 o'clock and I'm going to write the hell out of this thing. And I wrote it up and I made it so good, so good. It really was good. It was about, and you know what? It was about Iraq. And I just spent a lot of time in Iraq. So I really kind of made this, it was a report about what was going on and everything. And I only had about 90 seconds to fill, but it was like poetry. I'm like, I'm going to do a great job no matter what. I want more, but this is what I have. So I'll just do this. And, so I write it, I deliver it, and it's quickly forgotten. Nobody says anything. Nobody does anything. And I go back to my little office at the time. I was miserable. I was not happy. It was about 20 years ago. And about 3 hours later, I'm sitting there, and all the words that I put into that script, I start hearing them in my ear. I start hearing them. They're coming out of the television. Like somebody else is reading my script. What the hell is going on? And I looked and I saw who was doing it. He's just reading away like it's his own stuff, his own words. I'm like, that bastard, I'm going to turn him in. What the hell? You can't plagiarize. He's plagiarizing me. I talked to my little kitchen cabinet of close advisors, a young lady I was seeing at the time and a couple of others, and they all said, don't do it. Don't turn him in. Like, why not? Because that will look bad for you. You'll come out looking like the bad guy. I said, really? I know, but this guy should have, nope, just. So I thought about it, like, they're probably right. I wasn't really fitting in this particular operation anyway, and if I started doing that, maybe that would be a problem. But years later, well, actually, days later, I realized, you know what? I should have turned him in. I should have. You can't do that. And the other thing was, I realized when Trump, they say, oh, he shouldn't say that about the election. Only he knows what it feels like to have the election ripped from him if he did in fact win it. He's the victim, not me. I mean, I voted. We could say there's like a lot of victims, but only he really truly knows what that feels like if it did in fact happen. And only I knew what that felt like, to be sitting there and all that context I told you about writing the thing. And some guy just walks in because he can't write and he's dumb and he's a bit of an airhead, but he has to steal other people's work. Only I knew what that felt like. And anyway, I didn't turn him in, but it gives me a certain empathy, and I don't care if it makes sense. I know what President Trump, I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones, and he has every right to keep saying that. We'll never know. We'll never know exactly. However, actually, we might. We might, because investigations and things are being looked into that were just kind of brushed aside before. Hey, one other thing, when you become a believer in God, I'll say this, anxiety evaporates. You carry around a hell of a lot less anxiety. I'm not saying you don't worry a little bit. You can get anxious. But one example, like what's today? Today is Sunday. I used to hate Sunday nights. Even as, like, basically going back to first grade, oh my God, what's going to happen? The test, the week, that feeling in the pit of your stomach, it just felt like, just the most awful time. Sunday night. Everything about that night was weird. And that carried over into my adult years. And now Sunday feels like Friday. That's how anxiety has left me. It literally feels excited for the week, excited for stuff that's going to happen. And I was told this once before, and it's true, that the Christian lifestyle is an exciting lifestyle. We think it's going to keep us from having a good time. It's actually meant to protect us, and it's meant to maximize our joy, actually. And once you start opening that book, you realize what's going on. You realize, whoa, it's truly wonderful. All right, Byron Donalds, not Donaldson. Sorry. He's a congressman, a Republican from Florida. I believe he wants to be the next governor of Florida, and he's got a really good shot. Showed up at some demonstrators outside of a Tesla dealership. Try to get to understand them a little bit. And some people, they just want to be angry. And this is always fascinating. It's a little bit unfair, but it's also incredibly fair. It couldn't be more fair. But it's the last thing they're thinking of. They actually, people should think more and possibly protest less. Byron Donalds at the Tesla dealership down in Florida. Cut 4, please. Cut 4.
Listen, when you're running for governor, everywhere is your district. I'm trying to figure out what it is you guys are actually doing.
Nazi.
You do realize that Nazis don't like black people, right? What do you want us to agree on?
Congress, because I was in D.C. on Monday for Trans Visibility, and I would like you, as a member of Congress, to rise up and support LGBTQ plus youth and stop this insane attack on our children who know who they are, because you're a fascist. You're a trace.
So, because I do not believe in the mutilation of children, I'm a fascist now? And I asked you a question. And then you said you don't agree with me?
My children!
I asked you a question. You call me a fascist? You call me a race traitor? And you want me to agree with you? What are you talking about, ma'am?
Are you against electric vehicles? I am against the Republican Party of Florida for having control of the governor's mansion for 25 years.
What policy in Florida the last 25 years that you don't agree with?
All right, what I believe you should do right now is study the law.
But sir, I spent 4 years in the legislature.
And I
wrote some of the laws.
Right, I know you wrote some of the laws.
So I'm asking you, which one?
All right. There are too many to name right now.
Last question. Seriously, last question.
Give me last question.
New York or Florida? Which state is governed better, New York or Florida?
It's clearly New York. Why don't you live in New York? Why don't you live in New York?
All I'm going to say is
because I live in Florida.
People choose Florida. They've been coming here more than going the other way. When you vote with your feet, it matters.
I'm going to come to your district and register a lot of poor people. I'm going to register them. I'm going to get the felons that have had their voting rights taken away that don't even know they can vote still now. I worked on felons' voting rights in Florida 7 years ago.
You ready?
I'm going to come to your district. I'm going to register so many people. I have nothing but time.
Do you remember the amendment about restoration of voting rights? You ready? I endorsed it. I supported it.
Nice job. Nice job. Is there more? A little bit more? Let's go.
Nazis now.
I think you guys, like, I don't understand.
I'm a Nazi? What are you talking
there's
about?
Show the Nazi salute that Elon gave.
What do you mean? Which one?
Do it. No, you do it.
I'm trying to figure out who are the Nazis and where are they?
Oh, the Republicans are the Nazi party.
Why do you say that?
Because they support a Nazi.
Who's a Nazi?
Elon Musk is a Nazi.
Based upon what?
Based on the Nazi salute, the not saying he didn't do it. Why did he not have the Nazi?
It wasn't a Nazi salute. It wasn't. Boy, those people really were particularly ignorant. And I don't like to play identity politics, but it is kind of funny seeing those white liberals wag their finger at Byron Donalds, this big black man who happens to be conservative and totally fair-minded in these outrageous nutjob, totally left. It's truly Trump derangement syndrome, and they have no inkling as to what actually, they're kind of pawns, right? They've been kind of drifting in the wind. Yes, Freddie, what is it?
How you doing, Mr. Kelly?
Good.
Listen, happy Passover. I'm a Jewish believer, but can I ask you a question? How did the Judge Bozeman get the case? That's how I want to find out. That he can't just make a case himself, can he?
Yeah, well, that's the crux. That's basically the crux of the matter. They went venue shopping. It's a little trick. This thing had to be decided not in the D.C. district, but in Texas, all right, where the judges tend to be a lot more conservative. So that was a little bit of the trickery that was involved here, getting a madman like Boasberg, the way they filed it and whatever. I think he's almost out of it. Alito had a beautiful dissenting opinion because the Supreme Court did something stupid last night. His dissent is awesome. We'll read it actually on the other side, but Boasberg was brought in artificially. He should not have been in there to begin with. All right, up next, it's keeping the Live in Alive with Debbie Nigro, sponsored by Native Path Collagen. Wow, with that big build-up, we got to break the news to you that it ain't Roger Stone today. He's sick. He's homesick with a doctor's note, and I'm his friend Greg Kelly filling in on Easter Sunday, proud to do it. Proud to be a friend of Roger Stone. He has honored me, I think, 3 years in a row on that best dressed list. It's a good thing he lives in Florida and not New York, because I am, I don't know. He only sees me. I do these videos, on television, and I'm only visible from the mid-torso up. And that, I've got it going on. But sometimes, I don't know. You know what it's like when you can't button your pants. And you got to play that game with the shirt hanging over it and, no, Greg, only you. So, yeah, I'm not that best dressed anymore. I'm a little bit frumpy dumpy, but I am going to turn it around for the summer. And then really there's no excuse to be all out of shape anymore. I am looking at all the technology. I'm also looking at all these damned buff people on Instagram, and they basically tell you what to do. No carbs. That means no bread, no processed foods. Eat a lot of chicken, eat a lot of eggs, eat a lot of meat and vegetables. And if you want, coffee is a good appetite suppressant. So I'm doing these things. I'm phasing them in. And the mission is ripped by July 4th. Can I do it? Can I do it? I think again, yeah, that's the hope. What's up with the tattoos? Have you seen all these people with tattoos? I'm talking about like 24-year-old girls walking down the street, and they all have pretty slutty tats. It was like one thing if you're in a strip club or whatever like that, but these are like girls who went to Fairfield University. And they got these things on the side of their body, and you see it right now all over the place because it's gotten hotter, and the girls are kind of taking off their clothes in public. That's another thing I got to deal with. Oh! All right, sorry, Roger is elsewhere, getting better. This is his friend Greg Kelly, seen on conservative cable and right here on WABC. Wrapping up that thing about the women taking off their clothes because it's hot out. Yeah, sometimes I get a little frustrated by that, to be honest. Sometimes I don't want to see that. Yeah, I know that sounds prudish and weird, but I don't know. Sometimes it's a little much. And I have a 3-year-old girl and a 5-year-old girl, and I really don't want them dressing like that when they become teenagers or 20-somethings. I hope they don't. There's something to be said for modesty. Now, at the other extreme, you got the forgive me, but the Muslim situation in the UK is like kind of out of control. The culture of England is eroding, and it is being replaced by the Sharia, to the point that, what's her name? Kate Middleton? Is that the princess, the queen, whatever they call it, right? The number 2 over there, married to Harry, the king. They went to a community center, I guess that's run by the Muslims, and the dude refused to shake her hand. Did a pounce on the heart kind of thing. Wouldn't shake her hand. She offered her hand. He wouldn't shake it. And not only that, she was wearing a hijab, one of those, wrap around the head with the scarf thing. And it was a little bit, I don't know. And I know we're supposed to be tolerant, and I know, but I don't know. There's something, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the Quran. All right. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it as a bit of an investigation. I think since Muslim is exploding, you know how many Jews we have in the world? Guess. Kevin, guess. There are billions of Christians, billions of Muslims. How many Jews?
100 million.
15 million. 15 million, 15 million. And that number has gone down, and it's going down. And the anti-Semitism that's tolerated, it's pretty insane. It's actually very, very disgusting. I'll get to the opinion regarding the illegals in a moment. But first, a person that I like went a little bit too far, I think. Nancy Mace, she's a Republican congresswoman from South Carolina. She used to be not that into Trump, but now she's kind of warmed up to Trump. And I was watching TV, this is about a year ago, and George Stephanopoulos disgraced himself, endangered his network, and just was an all-out fool to Nancy Mace, and the most insensitive guy ever. The George Stephanopoulos clip. Go ahead. By the way, Stephanopoulos' network had to pay like a lot of money, millions, because he's about to libel or defame President Trump. Go ahead.
Yes, this morning. And you've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and 2 separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. I didn't come forward because of that judgment and shame that I felt. And it's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not gonna do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Right. Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. Donald Trump has been found liable for defaming the victim of that rape by a jury. It's been affirmed by a judge.
It was not a criminal court case, number one. Number two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting. And quite frankly, E. Jean Carroll's comments when she did get the judgment, joking about what she was going to buy, it makes it harder for women to come forward when they make a mockery out of rape, when they joke about it.
Doesn't it make it harder for women to come forward when they...
It makes it harder when other women joke about it, and she's joked about it. I find it offensive. And I also find it offensive that you're trying to shame me with this question.
I'm not trying to shame you at all. In fact,
I have dealt with this for 30 years. You know how hard it was to tell my story 5 years ago when they were doing a fetal heartbeat bill and there were no exceptions for rape, incest, or rape or incest in there? I had to tell my story because no other woman was coming forward. No rape victims were represented. And you're trying to shame me this morning.
I'm just asking.
And I find it offensive, and this is why women won't come forward.
Women won't come forward because they're defamed by those who perpetrate rape.
They are judged and they're shamed, and you're trying to shame me this morning. I think it's disgusting.
I'm not shaming you at all.
I told my story. It took me 25 years to tell my story. I was judged for it. I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
Wow. All right, so she really handed it right to him, okay? He was totally out of line. And all the stuff he was saying about President Trump was false, actually. The jury did not say that regarding rape and President Trump. It's a huge difference from what they actually said to what George said. So I like Nancy Mace, but she might have a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, all right, after that, because went mega viral, and so she's down in her district. I think she's from South Carolina, and there's a video of a guy. Now, we know about Gaydar, right? Gaydar, you know, radar for gay radar, detecting gay people. It's a thing. It's okay. They're gay people. I mean, it's like, you know, but okay, let me put it to you this way. Straight people, I don't even think it's worth discussing, right? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. The guy is probably gay, but that doesn't matter, right? Remember, we all saw Seinfeld. It doesn't matter. It's really not the point. He does look a little bit effeminate, and he's wearing shorts that are probably too short for him. But he's basically a normal guy. I've seen a lot weirder straight people. Know what I mean? No, that didn't sound right either. I'm just saying he might be gay, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't, but she takes out a video camera, a congresswoman, starts taping this guy, recording this guy. And I feel like she alleges that she's being harassed, but if you watch the video, it seems like he's being harassed. And I bring up the thing about the gay, like how I said that, the gay. I bring that up because she brings it up against, about him. And I don't think she's right to do that, actually. There's no reason for her to say what she's about to say. So, but just to set it up, he's a healthy distance away. He's like 8 to 10 feet away. And he's wearing shorts and a shirt, and he's shopping in what looks like a Walgreens. And let's take a look. Shall we? Go ahead.
I do them every year.
Every year.
You want to keep going?
Do any more this
you want
year?
to keep going and keep harassing me? You could have gone to a dozen town halls last year.
I asked if you're doing any more this year. It was one simple question.
Yeah.
Are you doing a town
I've
hall
already
this year?
done one. I'll do plenty more.
Are you doing any more this year? It was a simple question.
You're always invited.
Okay, sweet. Well,
And by the way, I voted for gay marriage twice.
What does that have to do
so
with me?
I'm just saying, it has everything to do with you.
You think everything about me has to do with gay marriage?
I do,
That's
absolutely.
your first stance when you
Yep.
speak with me?
Absolutely.
There's no other humane
If you want to get in my
conversation
face about town
me?
halls, you should have shown
There's
up to
no
one
other
last
humane
year.
thing
All right,
we can talk
stop. You see what I mean? Okay, he's coming off like the normal one. I just wanted to know about the town hall meeting. You should know that I voted for LGBTQ. Why are you bringing that up to me? All right. Does he ever get out of hand? I think Nancy Mace is in the wrong here. Keep going.
Me just saying, I support gay marriage.
Yeah,
That's
because you're getting in my face about a town hall. You could have gone last year. Would you like me?
If you have any plans to have more town halls this year?
I have town halls every year. I have over a dozen every year.
Great, that was my entire question. You didn't have to go into the spiel about
You could have come to any of them last year.
Okay. And
I had
asking
over
about
a
this year,
dozen.
not 2024.
Where were you the year before that?
Okay.
Or the year before that?
It was a simple question.
Oh, because you know what?
have
Because you
any
people
more that
on the
you're going to
left
this year
are
or not.
crazy.
So I'm
You're
on the left.
absolutely fucking crazy.
Oh my gosh.
You are.
Stop. Bad word. Did you get it out? Okay. She's lost her mind. I mean, she's not right. She's not right. Constituents are allowed to go up and say whatever the hell they want to you, pretty much. This guy was, not disrespectful. She went with the vulgarity. She went with, obviously you're gay. I vote for pro-gay stuff. Like, leave me. Oh, getting in my face. He wasn't in her face. That's, oh boy. I think she blew it, but that's okay. Number one graduate from the Citadel. You know about the Citadel? That's a weird college, by the way. So is VMI. I don't understand these people who go to the military college and don't go into the military. It's the weirdest thing in the world. I mean, it's one thing if you're getting in a full scholarship, but if you go to the Citadel, you got to pay them for that abuse. You go to VMI, you pay them to yell and scream and shout at you and for this phony military experience. West Point, the Academy, Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, that's the real deal. You're actually in the military. With VMI and the Citadel, you're not. I don't quite understand it. But she, as I think, is the first female graduate of the Citadel ever. And so she's a tough cookie, but maybe a little bit too tough. Oh, shoot, we just lost Roberta. That's okay. Well, Bobby, hello. Speak up. Never mind then. Yeah, what?
Good. Oh, no. I wanted to ask you a question.
what do you think about with the bad press we've got with the tariffs or Trump, right? About if we're going to bring the work back to the United States, bringing back the pension plan, the defined benefits pension plan. I think that could, help Trump with some things, and especially us in the middle class. And I wanted to bring one thing up about Cuomo, and I'm a fan. I'm also a Christian. With Cuomo in 2012, and this was a big thing, he lost the pension. I'm a retired Con Edison Local 1-2 Utility Worker Union of America. He lost the pension for us for 10,000 union members, right? When in 2008, when we had our contract, David Patterson kept it for us, right? That was a big thing for our union to lose the pension. And now, they have enhanced 401ks where the tariff, this affects this when you retire. So those are two things that I'm, maybe because you do speak to Trump and you speak with Curtis Lewa, who I'm rooting
What
for.
the hell am I going to say to those guys?
Well, I'm just saying, what do you think about bringing back the old pension plan? Your dad's a retired police. I'm sure he's got the pension, and I'm retired.
Well, I don't understand it. You lost your pension. The union, what, you bargained it away? What union?
Yeah, okay, so it's Local 1-2 UWUA, right? Now, I didn't lose it.
Oh, what do you care? You got it. Don't worry about it.
No, but I care. Listen, because I got 4 kids. I got 3 daughters.
I know, and they're good. You got the pension.
I have it, but your kids are going to get older too, like mine.
Hey, I know, but wait a second. A pension. I don't work for the state. I'm not getting a pension. All right. That's the cash cow that you guys get. I don't, I'm not in a union like that. I don't work for the MTA. I don't work. My dad, God bless him, and he knew it. He told me when I was growing up, people would lose their jobs. It's like, this is a great thing being in the civil service. You don't lose your job. Granted, he was also really good at what he did. I'm a little bit worried. But what do you mean? Look, the stock market has come back. Those 401ks are coming back. It's all going to be, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. He can keep doing the tariffs. He can keep doing it. I wish he did it harder. I wish he stayed longer. And he told us there was going to be a disturbance. I know about the disturbance. I don't know. Bobby, I'm sorry. I'm not worried. And you shouldn't be worried either, right? You're okay.
You know what? I'm okay. I'm not worried, but I worried for my 25, 23, 20, and 17 because it's going to be hard.
Well, not because of the tariffs. I mean, everything across the board, they're kind of screwed, all right? They just came out of, what have they gone through in their lives? 2 recessions and a pandemic, all right? And all from the social media to the digitation of their minds, hey, look, who's going to help with all these situations? No kidding. God, right? How are you children with God?
So I agree with you 100%, but I'll just say this is a 62-year-old man that to retire just with an enhanced 401k, that also you don't have a retiree medical and dental because of that. And that's your biggest cost. If somehow Trump, and he's for the American working people, which, listen, I voted for him. I'm a registered Democrat, but I voted for him. If he could bring back that pension plan, which I believe if we all suffer with the tariffs.
Pension is like, man, oh man, a pension. You got to take care of yourself, right? You do kind of got to, I'm not counting on Social Security. I got to take care of myself. I don't know. I don't count on getting then again, I am going to get a pension. Sorry, I am. I get one from the Marine Corps. I did 20 years in the Marine Corps, and when I turned your age, by the way, 62, look, I'm not qualified to give advice about this stuff to Trump or Sliwa or anybody, all right, Bobby? You should get in touch with them. I think they know what they're doing, all right? The idea of you're set. Imagine that. You know why they gave out these pensions? Arguably, they're not necessary. Even the one that I get, 20 years. 20 years in the Marine Corps, you get a pension for life. Why? Because back in the day, when they started giving out pensions, which was shortly after or shortly before World War II or after World War II, the life expectancy in America was like 50, right? They weren't, people were living to 90, 100, 85, 87, 20, the pension lasting 40 years. You can retire from the police department, I think, at the age of 40 with a pension for the rest of your life. Is that really right? You can retire from the military at the age of 38 with a pension and medical for the rest of your life. Is that right? Probably not. You know, I don't know, Bobby. Those are big issues, though. And I'm not, I think it's all coming in for a landing. Oops, we'll be right back.
FBI, open the door.
FBI, Roger Stone, we know you're in there. FBI, we're the FBI for real. Forever bothering innocent people. FBI, forever blowing it. Let's see, forgetting basic instructions like the Constitution. Here we are with the SWAT team, with our frogmen in the back in the canal, a helicopter, our tanks, our machine guns. Ooh, man, oh man. Have we had, Kash Patel, I love that Kash Patel. He's the director of the FBI. Thank God. We have had some real lunatics running that agency. Who was there at the time? That was Comey, followed by the even worse Christopher Wray. We've only had a handful. There's something about that FBI, something in the water, something. They think they are more important than the gosh damn government itself, right? The White House, the legislative branch, the judicial branch. No, it's all about the F-freaking-B-I. And they have failed at so many things. You look at it throughout history. Whenever America has really been on its heels, the FBI has screwed something up. They screwed up the JFK assassination. FBI agent had the name of Oswald in his notebook. He had an appointment to meet him on Saturday, the day after the assassination attempt. All right, great job, fellas. Let's see, Ruby Ridge. Anybody remember that one? Ruby Ridge at Waco. Hey, I got an idea. Let's go in there at 9 a.m. when they're all awake. Just with a tank. They got all this hardware and they have to practice on it and then they really want to use it. That's another problem. What else did they do that was bad? Nobody remembers this, but do you remember the anthrax letters? And they followed around a guy for 2 years named Stephen Hatfill. And they ruined his life. Well, ultimately they had to pay him like $10 million. But they harassed, and they just had it in their heads. This is the guy. It's got to be him. And let's harass him. Let's follow him until he breaks. FBI, they certainly didn't do us any favors with the weapons of mass destruction. 9/11. You could have seen that one coming. I feel like there's something more recent that they... Oh, and also, the FBI undercover personnel there on January 6th. All right, there are something like 37 at least that they've admitted to, that they had to admit to. It's funny how we found that out. How many years after January 6th? So January 6th is a passion project of mine. Ashley Babbitt, we believe she will be receiving justice soon. And maybe that police officer who shot her, murdered her, will be dismissed and possibly prosecuted. That would be great. I'm also now learning about the Roseanne Boylan case. Another woman, it looks like, I know actually that she was beaten by a cop. Well, it's one thing to be, you punt. Oh, damn it. I got to go. Hey, Roberta, what did you want to say real quick?
I hope the justice is served about.
You're going to, do me a favor. Call me back tomorrow at like 1 o'clock, all right? I'll see you then. Roger Stone, get better soon.